kíkọ́ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè. Ìwé kíkọ́ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè. Láìsí iyán àti ẹ̀gúsí kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iyán àtẹ̀bà ló ń jẹ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò jẹyán á jẹ̀bà tó tutù. Ìṣápá láìsí iyán àti ẹ̀gúsí kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o.
If you look at the funding for research on cocoa, the way it is being structured in Nigeria is a bit different from what we have in Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, who are also major role players in terms of cocoa in the West African sub-region. Let me take Ghana as an example. The Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana and the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria were together before, which we call the West African Cocoa Research Institute, the WACRI. After independence, we were just separated. We have the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, we have the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. If you have the opportunity of visiting CRIN in Ghana, and compare it with what we have here in CRIN, we are not doing badly, but then we are far behind. Why? Because the method of funding is quite different. The Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana is under the Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board is the only agency that is allowed to buy cocoa and sell cocoa to the international market. And they have about 5 or 6 divisions: marketing, research, and so on. And Cocoa Research Institute is now one of their departments under Cocoa Board. So the Cocoa Board is responsible for funding of the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana. So they get their money directly from Cocoa Board. And let me now also tell you that for every bag of cocoa, every bag of dry bean sold to the international market, the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana will have an amount. So unfortunately, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. We are selling our raw cocoa bean outside, and so the people, they determine how much they are going to pay us for it. They also tell us put some conditions before they can buy our cocoa. Lastly, what we should do is not just concentrating on exporting. I think we'll be doing the sector very good.
And isolate that we tend to use for the development of biofungicides. The next project, also relevant to that of cocoa pods, cocoa black pods, is that of that aim at tackling the problem of fungal mycotoxin and the pesticide contamination of our cocoa beans at storage. And then the project started with the collection of rice fermented cocoa beans from some areas, cocoa producing areas from stores, and we also were able to identify and characterize the toxigenic fungi affecting our cocoa beans. And like I said earlier, we also were able to collect some botanicals that we want to use in developing eco-friendly alternatives for tackling the challenge of contamination of our cocoa beans in the store. An array of organisms was discovered, and it was discovered that most of the organisms that affect cocoa in the store are mainly toxigenic. They are aspergillus, belong to the aspergillus and fusarium species, and it's an indication that we need to work seriously to ensure that the proliferation of these pathogens is halted, and so that our our cocoa beans could be more acceptable and safer for consumption. So the next phase for the project is to fully embark on the development of the botanicals so far obtained.
Cashew is very important in Nigeria. It helps in our economy, it helps in employment, it helps in our industry, and it provides job for both women and youth. If you look at the cashew tree, from the leaf to the stem to the fruit to the root, there is no part that is not useful. It has a special, unique attribute, even compared to all other mandates. So it is all purpose. It's a golden tree, and from it provides income for Nigeria. Our task for the year was to improve cultivars for our farmers, to produce improved cultivars for our farmers. And when we talk of improved cultivar, that means it must be high yielding, it must be of good quality, such that when our farmers plant it, they will have good return on their investment. So we have, over the years, Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria work to make improved planting material available. One of such efforts was the variety released in 1980 called the G series. This has medium-sized nuts and yield of 1,000 kg per hectare. But you agree with me that 1980 till now is too long a year. So it is long overdue for us to release new variety. Hence, the program and the institute has concentrated effort in improving new cultivars of cashew. From 1980, it didn't mean that CRIN did not do anything, because our 540, we did it together. The project is collaborative. So as CRIN, we have gone ahead even to select out of these 540 selections. So the main thing we did last year was mother tree selection. And before we did that, we undergo some training for our scientists on what is needed, what are the qualities that we can use to identify a good mother tree. Then we also did individual tree selection last year. So I'm going to run through these reports. Report 1, selection of elite cashew mother tree in Nigeria. Cashew is of high economic importance, as I said, and we have production challenges like low yield, low quality, and lack of improved planting material. So there is need for further exploration of cashew genetic resources in the field gene bank and on farmers' field to make selection of potential mother trees available for breeding, for germplasm expansion, for hybrid variety development.
Over the years, as you all know, one of the major challenges that is facing Kola is the gestation period. And due to the efforts so far in the past years, we've been able to reduce the gestation period of Kola to 4 years, and I think we are still on it. Our first trial has given us a very wonderful result. And also in the Kola program, there's an ongoing research activities on the development of safe and non-toxic botanicals as possible replacement for synthetic pesticides commonly used by Kola farmers and traders. And also we also have another one that is also ongoing. It's also a research work that aims at generating specific empirical data on economic profitability of using botanicals for kola nut preservation in Nigeria. I will present 4 reports. The first one is a vegetative propagation in germplasm expansion, the search for improved kola genotypes in Nigeria. The objective of that work, one, is to produce and establish selected cloned materials from farmer field to establish it in our germplasm here, and also to develop and improve kola variety. And the materials are methods selected kola farms from Oyo, Ondo, and Ekiti State were surveyed for kola tree with desirable traits, and the vegetative material, the wood was collected from those farmers' field, and those wood were grafted on already established stock at our nursery here in CRIN. Now this is the results. As at the time of submitting this report, we already have over 600 seedlings that were kola seedling grafted, and we have 100 cuttings that were raised from the Bodu collections, and both the grafted seedling and the cuttings, they were still at the stage. But now, as I'm speaking to you, already we have more than that in the nursery. Report 2 is talking about the economic use of botanicals for storage and preservation of kola nut among stakeholders in Ekiti and Oyo State. The main objective of this work is to analyze the factor that drives the use of botanicals by farmers in the bid to manage pest and disease preservation. And the study was carried out in 2 states, Ekiti and Oyo State, and structured questionnaire were used to acquire information from farmers, and from the acquired information or data from farmers, we were able to realize that aside religion and presence of subsidy, loan, grants, varietal of kola nut available per farming season, demand for kola, year of experience in kola storage and preservation, selling price of kola, the price of kola at the point of storage, policy and programs of government, membership of associations, availability of cheap labor, then availability of public trees, and availability of botanicals. All drives the use of botanicals for storage and preservation of kola. Another result that also acquired is that the study showed that kola nut trade is profitable in the study area, and with the use of botanical and storage preservation of kola acquire more profit to the farmers that's in that study area. And it was concluded that the study concluded that they identify and they analyze. The study identified and analyzed the factor driving the use of botanicals by farmers in the bid to sustainably manage pests and diseases of kola, especially during storage and preservation.
Coffee is one of the most popular beverage with about 1.5 billion cups daily consumed worldwide. The Oyibo will not ask you, do you care for water? They will care, do you have coffee, care for coffee? 1.5 billion cups daily consumed worldwide. Coffee is an important source of bioactive compound, including caffeine, trampoline, phenolic, and compounds. So, data palm fruit is a sweetener edible from fruits and contain more than 70% sugar, mainly glucose and fructose. technology. The ingredients, the whole wheat flour, the palm fruit powder and coffee powder were formulated into blend. We blend it together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of pressure. 80, 10, 10, 70, 20, 10, 60, 30, 10, 50, 40, 10, 50, 45, 50, respectively. The ingredients were measured into a bowl. They measured into a bowl, and sunflower oil and other ingredients were added and mixed. They mixed together, and egg and water were mixed and added to flour based on mixtures and made to dough. And the dough was rolled and flattened and cut into shape. And the cut out dough was baked at 150-degree Celsius for about 30 minutes in an oven. And after baking, the cookies were cool. They were cool and packed into polythene and sealed. Results. For the result, it showed clearly that organoleptic characteristics of blending 3 and 4 were rated best. These are the rated best in all the parameters after they are tested. And there was no significant difference observed in the blends of 3 and 4 while other record significant difference. Conclusion. Dead palm fruit could be used to substitute of sugar in production of quality coffee, cookie, and also sweetener in other bakery products. So it's recommended that our ideal snacks, our snacks or food for diabetics, those who have diabetics, they are recommended that when they take it, it will knock it out. Metabolic health related patients. Because 3, role of pathogen or coffee stealing, cutting production failure, and their control using botanical alternatives. These are the name of the investigators in production. The coffee was planted on tree. It's a woody premier tree crops. Coffee beans are the seed of coffee plants which are found inside the coffee berry or cherries. We are able to detect that a number of diseases can affect coffee plants in the nursery, seedling, and in the field while young and later as a bearing trees.
Determination of rooting hormones efficacy and success of tea cuttings generation in lowland of Nigeria. If we want to raise tea cuttings, we will need hormone. But considering the cost of hormone now, most farmers may not be able to afford the hormones. So this project is set to look into various hormones that can replace the synthetic one, so that it will be readily available for farmers whenever they want to generate seedlings. So the materials and method. The mother plants were pruned 6 months before the commencement of the setting of the cuttings, and the pots were filled. The cuttings were harvested carefully with the aid of secateurs and quickly dipped in a basin containing water to prevent loss, and 1 gram of each of the oxens IBA were applied to it. This particular project is ongoing, so it's still under monitoring, and we believe before the end of the year 2024 we will be able to come out to the farmer that these are alternative hormones that you can use to raise your tea cuttings in the lowland. The second project, which is soil characterization and suitability evaluation for lowland tea production. Soil is a mixture of minerals, organic materials, air and water, and the content of soil varies at different locations and are constantly changing. There are many kinds and types of soil. Each has certain characteristics, including the specific color and the composition. Therefore, soil evaluation is essential for sustainable tea production in the lowland. As I said earlier on, under the land mapping suitability, this project falls under the land suitability mapping in order to know the characteristics of the soils, especially in Cross River State all these projects were carried out in Cross Rivers State. That is the first place where we are taking the lowland tea to. For this year 2024, our focus will be Abia State. The materials and method. 3 profile pits were established, as one at Obuduyi, Obaniku local government area. Then we visited Boki and Bashwa, where those samples were taken for analysis for us to be able to know the suitability of such soil for tea production. The result of the 3 profile pits showed that silt and clay particles were low while sand content were high. This could be attributed to the effect of pedogenic processes of translocation, in which silt and clay particles were moved from the upper horizon to lower horizons, and the pH of the soil and water varies from 5.73 and the surface 6.19 at the subsurface. Organic carbon at the surface of the soil of the 3 profiles were high, and the organic content of the soil decreases with the soil depth. The annual rainfall of the study areas also fall into the class suitability S1, that is highly suitable for lowland tea.
An overview, climate change has been a major problem we are facing as far as concerned, and it has been observed that it has really affected crop production generally, Nigeria alone and globally. And one of the areas in which climate change has affected our crop is flooding of our farm, disease and pest outbreak, high temperature that we're experiencing. I know for some time now it has been very hot. It was hot some weeks ago, and it's as a result of the climate change that we are experiencing. And to crown it up, our CRIN mandate crop, which is cashew, cocoa, coffee, cola and tea, are not left out of the detrimental effects of climate change. And this prompted the need for us in this system to bring up, which was climate change mitigation through development of appropriate farming system techniques for year 2023. And it has been observed that intercropping other crops with CRIN-minded crops has produced outstanding results. And as an overview from what we were able to get from this from the 2023 report, it was observed that intercropping planting with tea has enhanced the survival and sustained growth of tea in the dry weather. And also similarly, intercropping oil palm with cashew and tea promises a better ability of the mandate crops to tolerate the adverse effects of climate change. First report, we have growth and field establishment of tea, Camellia sinensis under plantain intercropping system in Buena, southwest of Nigeria. And the need of regulators are stated in the slide. The exploitation of the warm southwestern Nigeria, and intercropping with shade crops helps to ameliorate the harsh weather of the lowland. And the objective of this study is to observe the effects of tea plantain intercrop at different planting density on post performance and field establishment of 2 tea CRIN arena substation. Materials and method. A field trial was conducted at the Udina station, and the trial was a 2-by consisting of 2 tea cultivars, cultivar 143 and cultivar 318, and tea intercrop with 3 planting densities at 1,111 planting density per hectare and 2,222 planting density per hectare, and last, which is the control 0 planting, which is just tea. So the experimental design was a randomized complete block design, and the planting spacing of the tea was 60 by in the avenue of the plantain rows. It's after collected with on leaf area, number of branches, plant survival count, and data was analyzed using ANOVA.
So under tax 1, improvement of primary processing techniques, we are looking at physical composition and trace metal constituents of cashew trees extracted using a motorized small-scale extractor. Yeah. The investigators are as listed, and cashew apple, nutritious and very rich in vitamin C, which is reportedly to be 5 to 10 times that of oranges, pineapples respectively. The trees also possess therapeutic properties in forms of minerals and antioxidants, which are believed to be effective for treating some ailments such as dysentery, stomach ulcers, gastritis. The high juice content of about 85% of cashew apple has been reported by Oyo State and Olalusi et al. And its byproducts such as pulp, which can be processed into other useful products, makes it very suitable to prefer solution to active hunger. Now, the methodology involves picking the apples as described by Ogunwolu in 2017. The apples were sorted and then nuts removed. These were blanched and they were fed into to the machine that we are working on. About 1.5 kg each, because actually the intent, this objective went pari passu, because there were two objectives really. First was to determine the performance of the machine, and also to look at the quality aspect of the extracted juice. So this is talking to the quality aspect of the extracted juice. Now 1.5 kg of each apple were blanched and fed into the machines, and the juice were extracted. One was extracted using mechanical hand expellers, the one we have in the laboratory, not involving developed machines or probably stainless steels, and the other one was mechanical manual expeller, where we have the formed equipment or the machine, and then the third was using motorized expeller. The motorized expeller was powered, like mechanical expeller was run by hand. The motorized expeller was powered by a machine or a motor. Now, and the last one was the control. The results obtained were subjected to ANOVA, or to statistical analysis using ANOVA, and then means were separated.
Mostly we've heard so much about Robusta. That's one of the species in coffee, but not much about Arabica, and that happens to be one of the best commodities. Let me say ab initio, for you who may not know about coffee. Coffee is the second most traded, most valued commodity in the world. That is after gold. So please, you guys, please go and grow coffee like we are doing. So we've not been hearing so much about Arabica, and that one happens to be even the best of coffee, mostly done in Taraba area, that's Mambila Plateau, but it seems we can do that in the southwest here. I don't know of any other place, but in Oyo State I think we can do better. Again, the tea. I was joking with a guy who presented papers on tea, and I was telling him that he was just drinking his tea alone, because this is the first time I'll be hearing the same we can grow tea in the south here.
Kola nut, of all agricultural commodities, Kola nut suffer a very devastated blow from the state government, from Omonile. You go to Lagos, you cannot see Kola nut. Oyo State almost going, because most of the farmlands have been sold to farmers.
Now, at the part of the scientists, today I'm happy. It's like we are seeing some scientific enhancement. That is the area where my question will go to Mr. Shobowale, who delivered the paper this afternoon. He said, as of today, you will have a 4 years Kola nut tree. And my question is this: if it is, I want him to tell this house how many out of 100, this is Kola nut tree 100, out of that 100, how many that fruity? I'm not saying flowering, that fruity.
If you look at the presentation, apart from the man that presented something on farm practices, every other ones, there was no pictorial representation, no graphical presentation at all. I don't think it's a good thing for technical presentation. People should see tables, see values, compare themselves. We should see graphs. We should see picture of people that went to the field to collect information. None of such was presented here. That is number one thing. Then the second one, the man that presented Kola nut, he mentioned dry very well of Kola nut before storage. I'm a post-harvest person. I know he's referring to safe storage, moisture content. What is that value for Kola nut? That is question. Then the next one, the coffee man. You also presented us some economic data. You listed them, but you refused to tell us the implication of each of them. Please, we want to know. If you have 2 here, what is the implication? If it is -1, what is the implication?
We noticed that there are pockets of CSSV in Southwest. When the second keynote speaker was talking the other time, he mentioned Cote d'Ivoire, that disease is ravaging them. Cote d'Ivoire, up to 40%. I was talking with the first management expert there. He told me that it's coming down. It's now in Ghana. What are you doing, please, so that this thing will not be in Nigeria? It has been noticed in Oyo State and Udo East. You know Udo East where Bolonduro, Ileoluchi and Odota. That's Cocoa area in that area, so that we do not have that problem just like last Bola. It was moving from part of West Africa up to Nigeria, so that it will not be like that.
Researches, are very, very relevant to the need of Nigeria. However, it also shows to us that there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and that work is majorly getting this result output to the farmers and the end users of your various technologies. That area is so crucial that CRIN must harness every partner or collaborators that will help to ensure appropriate dissemination and adoption of this technology, and let's see how our farmers are able to take advantage of all these researches.
What are they doing on cocoa that will withstand the prevailing climatic change of the moment? That is my question on cocoa. Now on coffee as well. Can coffee be intercropped with other tree crops like oil palm in view of this harsh weather?
I want to commend CRIN, but unfortunately most of the work you people are doing, some of us are not aware of it. And I'm aware when they're talking about coffee and tea, and it's just in my backyard, work is going, and I'm not aware of it. And seemingly everything they are talking is about the developmental stage. Tea and coffee are the nursery, but some of us don't have that. And thank God the people who work on farming system, I think they are really more focused because some of the challenges we are having in the field in terms of the crop, we realize that they are already working on it. Because personally in my farm I'm intercropping palms and tea. Although I'm playing on the spacing distance, but equally we know that there's a constraint in land. And subsequently with all the EU restraint and the rest, definitely in order to improve the productivity of the farm, there is need for you to be able to intercrop so that the management will be able to.
How does the intercropping cocoa and oil palm, how does it affect the yield of oil palm and cocoa? Because the yield, when planted separately, is high for both cocoa and oil palm. But when you intercrop them, do you still have the same yield?
You know, we have avenue arrangements with cocoa, and we have Oyo State arrangement with cocoa. And the Oyo State arrangement, when you plant your oil palm, you remove one. You plant them 9 meter by 9 meter. You remove one in the center. So in that all low, that's where you plant your cocoa. So by reducing your oil palm by one, by other trial, and then in the plant in a nectar, you have reduced the number of oil palm. So the yield per where you have the control of oil palm will be different from where you have the oil palm in the control. So in a way, what you will be getting from the same land will be higher in time of money accruable, because you'll be getting money from cocoa. Let's assume that it's 1 hectare of cocoa. Now they said how much are they saying? You'll be getting millions, because if you're able to get more hectares of cocoa and you're able to get up to 1 tons of cocoa from where you have your oil palm, and then oil palm is money, everything in oil palm is money.
Then the cocoa farms of my time are very old farms of my time. When I was research officer, CRIN, up till now, they are already cocoa. Are we replanting the research I want CRIN to include now, notice somewhere for the future, is reclaiming the old cocoa farms, reclaiming it to sustain production of new cocoa. All the available cocoa plantations, I know of Oyo State, they've sold the land to developers. They've sold the land to developers. So whatever has not been sold, we should do research on how to revamp old cocoa farms. You can do it, you can even have plots that have degenerated there. Do micro research here. Don't tell anybody you are doing it. See how you can resuscitate and replant that, and then you can now sell that to other states. How to get lost land back to production.
It's an in-house review, and it's kind of an annual ritual that we do every year, preceding the start of our research activities on the field. The in-house review is like our birthday every year. It is a forum where researchers, scientists give account of the proposals they have in the coffin, what they intend to do, how they want to do it, how is it relevant to the economy of the country, and how is it relevant particularly to our smallholders farmers that we are serving. So it is a forum where we gather together our scientists in the institute, as well as all stakeholders, of our mandate crops, including the farmers association, the government agencies that are relevant to our mandate crops. It is the time we all come together to look at what we intend to do during the year in terms of research activities. Again, the forum has to happen because there are a lot of research proposals that are on grant. It gives the opportunity for scientists to present these proposals, allow our partners to give us criticism, constructive criticism on those proposals, and based on that, we will now choose some of the proposals that have been funded in 2024. research fund is very limited, and it is impossible to fund all the proposals that the scientists put on ground. So we have to have a way of screening those proposals by allowing the stakeholders to have contributions to what our researchers are proposing to do for this year 2024. If you look at the Renewed Hope agenda of the President Bola Tinubu, the agenda is to make sure that we have enough food for the country. Even though our mandate crops are not annual crops, they are perennial crops, they contribute a lot to food security in the country. Yes, there are a lot of problems that are associated with our crops, ranging from low yields to diseases and pests, as we have just alluded. We are up to the task. We are doing all what we can within the limit of the funding that we have to make sure that we get ready for whatever diseases and pests that we're envisaging that will be coming to affect those crops. In terms of yield, several varieties of mandate crops have been developed, and these varieties are high yielding, they are disease resistant, and we are ready to roll those type of materials out to our farmers for them to be able to plant them. We are aware of the cocoa swollen shoot disease that has broken up in Côte d'Ivoire, which has reduced their capacity by about 40%. Luckily for us, the disease is not that prominent in Nigeria, but we are not keeping silent. We are on surveillance and we are waiting, and we're trying to do all what is possible to make sure that the disease did not come to Nigeria, or even when we see a little bit of disease coming, we'll be able to have strategies to stop the disease from spreading. So yes, we are doing a lot of things to get varieties that are high yielding, varieties that are disease resistant, and varieties that are very, very well prepared to meet the challenges of the climate change that we are all experiencing in the world.
This is not a mere lecture. This is a planning session for the next season. Usually, the research institutes here in Nigeria have been mandated to ensure that whatever research they want to go into, they must subject those researches and proposals to proper training so that we'll be able to align it with the policy of the federal government. Researches are researches, but we have to be selective because of the prevailing situation we have found ourselves in this country. Today we are talking about food security, and if we are talking about food security, we want to screen those proposals to make sure that it meets the agenda of President Bola Tinubu. So we don't just go into research like that, we go to research. This is a purposeful research, a research that is demanding, a research that is supposed to answer it. And that's the more reason why you have found out that other research institutes have been brought up. This proposal is meant in such a way that there will be cross-carpeting of ideas between IR&T, NIHOT, National Center for Agricultural Mechanization, as well as Cereals Research Institute. How do they complement each other? Supposing a department is making a presentation on breeding of new varieties, how does it relate to what is happening in NCAM? What are the type of machineries that are there? Then does it give room for laboratory training? What are those laboratories and personnel that are available in other research institutes that can complement those research? That is the more reason why this meeting is very, very important for us to be able to achieve the state of emergency that was declared. This is indeed one of the inputs of this discussion, bringing in the private sector. The Honourable Minister is very concerned about the private sector. With this meeting, a lot has been revealed. And the first directive I gave to the executive director is saying, okay, for these diseases that we are talking about, let us introduce an active, both active and passive surveillance method for us to be able to see that this disease does not cross the border into our own community. So this is the first thing I can assure cocoa farmers, that we are going into active and passive surveillance to make sure that whatever diseases we are envisaging coming into this country, we should be able to contain it. And that is one. The second thing there is that For the issue of funding, unknown to many Nigerians, the federal government has already established an agency, and that agency is what we call the National Agricultural Development Fund, NADFund. It's a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. The aim of it is to bring in sources of revenue, from all agricultural ventures, so that they will be able to build it up and sponsor those research. The target of this government is to introduce a template of funding so that we don't rely strictly on the issue of budget, because budget will end by 31st. The researches do not have a boundary. So the aim of that fund is for us to be able to look at how we can develop a proposal that will fit into the funding mechanism of NADFund, similar to what is happening in the educational institute where we have TEDfund.
How they can actually develop a very good proposal and the research work that can actually address the need of the nation. We are in a serious crisis, as everybody knows, about food security, and then we need researchers to actually come on board, and you can't get a quality research without getting proper funding, and that funding comes from grants that we can get from different funding organizations. So the intention of the presentation is actually to stimulate the hearts of the researchers here and those that came from far and near to Cocoa Research Institute Nigeria in Ibadan here to be able to write a very strong proposal, and that will actually enable them to be able to win grants, get funding they can actually use to conduct a very good research that can actually solve our problem of food security in Nigeria.